Hello, welcome to our program, Astronomy for Everyone. With me in the studio today are the presidents of 3 area astronomy clubs here in Southeast Michigan. To my immediate right is Gary Ross, president of the Warren Astronomical Society. Next to Gary is Doug BAUER, president of the Ford Amateur Astronomy Club. And lastly, John Lines from the Seven Ponds Astronomy Club. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Don.
You're welcome. I'm going to go through a quick series of questions and talk to each of the club presidents and find out a little bit about each of the 3 clubs. First off, we'll start with Gary. Gary, welcome to the show. How long have you been a member and president of the Warren Astronomical Society?
President, I took the scepter on 1 January, and member, I cannot recall. It took so long to get me into the organization. I'd have to consult my checkbook. But about 5 years.
About 5 years? Great. Can you give us a little bit of history of the Warren Astronomical Society? When was it founded?
The Warren Society was founded in 1961. I'm sorry to say that none of the founding members are still with us. And next year will be the big fiesta. 50
years.
Yes.
Great. Is there anything special planned for your 50th anniversary that you know of offhand?
Possibly my turning out of office. One never knows, you know, like a banana republic. But not to my knowledge. But we will come up with something, I'm sure.
About how many members do you have in the Warren Society, roughly?
A difficult question. I don't really know. I leave that to the minister in charge. But I would say perhaps 125.
Now, I know the Warren Club is unique in the fact that it has meetings in 2 different locations. You have one in Warren and another one out of Cranbrook.
Yes, we do. And that is an important thing, because even though the name is the Warren Astronomical Society, because it started in Warren and has its roots in Warren, we reach a rather large geographic hinterland. And so having meetings in Cranbrook can include people from western Wayne County and Oakland County. And this dual arrangement has been going on for a very long time and seems to work rather well, although many members attend both.
I see. Makes it very interesting to attend both meetings. Do you have the same program at both, or does that vary?
No. There is a different program twice a month. So we are running 23 meetings a year with distinct programs if one does not include the annual banquet, and that is a program too. So we have 2 meetings a month. And given my experience in these things, that's an extremely rare regime with an astronomical society. Some are lucky to have 1 meeting a month.
Typically that's what we see. Now, where does the Warren Club observe at?
All over. I mean, given the reach of the members. Now, as an organization, you're talking about Stargate Observatory up in Macomb Township, that is on Metro Parks property, formerly the old Rotary Club. And Stargate is the observatory of the Warren Astronomical Society, although I emphasize that the society moves all over the Tri-County area in various functions, on demand or on request, for star parties or public exhibitions.
What's the main focus or primary focus of your club? What do you see that as?
Well, as an organization, it is to have our 2 meetings a month and have a whale of a good time doing it, all right? However, public education is another one of the functions of the Warren Society. And beyond that, I would say, in a tertiary sense, maybe a certain limited amount of astronomical research.
Great. Thank you very much for the information on the Warren Club. Next, we're going to talk to Doug BAUER, president of the Ford Amateur Astronomy Club. Doug, welcome back to the club.
Thank you.
To the show, I should say.
Thank you.
You've been here before. How long have you been a member and president of the Ford Club?
Well, I've been a member of the club for about 13 years, and I've been president. This will be my 3rd year. The club was formed in 1992. I'm a Ford employee. Greg Burnett and a friend of his formed the club, and it's within a blanket of the Ford Employee Recreation Association. It's a umbrella under Ford that it gets some subsidies to assist other clubs in getting going. So we're within that blanket as well. But you don't have to be a Ford employee to join the club, but many of the people are.
Okay, I see. And how many members do we have at the Ford Club?
Well, we've got on record 180 or so members, but average meetings we get probably 40 to 50 people showing up at the meetings, and it's not always the same 40 or 50. Different people come and go as their schedule allows.
And the Ford Club meets at?
We meet at the Henry Ford Community College in Dearborn in the Administrative Services and Conference Center in a room called the Berry Amphitheater. The Henry Ford Community College has generously given us a room to use, and it's a very, very nice facility. And we meet once a month. We meet on the fourth Thursday of every month at 5:30, except November, when we don't have any meetings in November, and in December, when it's the first Thursday of the month.
Because of the holidays.
Because of the holidays, exactly.
Now, where does the Ford Club observe at? What are their sites?
Well, we have 3 primary observing sites. We have permission to use the Lake Erie Metro Parks. We also have a permission to use the Island Lake Recreation Area at the Spring Mill Pond site. And we have another private facility out near Gregory, Michigan that we use as well.
So 3 altogether, in
Yes.
addition to where individuals may want to go.
Right, and where anybody else may want to go. Actually, lately, some people have been using the Novi Sports Complex. It has a pretty good view to the horizon, but the skies are not all that dark, but it's pretty convenient for a lot of people.
Good. Now, what is the primary focus of the Ford Club?
Primary focus is to get people who are interested in astronomy to come together and enjoy their hobby together and learn from each other. Secondary is sort of the education of the public and getting other people interested in the hobby and in science in general, hence the outreach programs and those kinds of things. We also like to work with the other clubs, as we are here today, to try to get some joint efforts going as well, to get more people involved and to widen our breadth of participants.
Right, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the second part of our program. Going to move lastly, but certainly not least, to John Lyons, the president of the Seven Ponds Club. And I'll ask the same question, John. How long have you been a member and president of the club?
Well, we were formed in about 1982, and I was right in on the ground floor of that to help form it.
Okay.
And I'm still there. And the fact that nobody else wants to step up to the podium, so to speak. So I'm still at the helm.
Good, good. How many members roughly do you have in the Seven Ponds Club?
Well, that one's like I said, we're a little different because we don't have any formal meeting minutes or dues. We don't have any dues either, which we're probably the only one in the area that operates like that. But we just get together, just observe. So my email list that I send out to people, as far as notices, when we have meetings or field trips or whatever, the email list is about 80 some.
Okay.
But sometimes some meetings will have maybe a half a dozen show up. Sometimes we might have 40. You just never know.
Where is the Seven Ponds Club located out of?
Okay. Well, we actually operate out of Seven Ponds Nature Center, which is in Dryden, Michigan. For those people that may not know where that is, we're about 15 miles south and east of Lapeer.
All right, so
Okay.
up in Lapeer County.
It's in Lapeer County.
Okay.
And the fact that we're that far north, our skies are still pretty nice up there.
I would think.
Yeah.
Are there other places that your club observes besides out near Dryden?
Yeah, most of the time, like the Nature Center is our main observing area. But with the fact that even though we're a small club compared to some of the other ones, our members come from quite a distance. So we might observe at Seven Ponds. Plus, they also go to members' homes or wherever else.
Now, what's the primary focus of the Seven Ponds Club?
Well, we are mainly geared just to an observational club. I probably should modify that. Our main focus, is to observe, and plus we've been known to have a few munchies every meeting and everything.
This is the gourmet club.
All right.
So we have fun on 2 accounts: observational and eating. So.
And the fact that there's no dues to join is another.
Right.
But where do I sign up, John?
Right.
That's great. It's been interesting to talk to the 3 club presidents. These are just three of a number of clubs here in Southeast Michigan that help bring the science and hobby of amateur astronomy to the public. If you would like to learn more about these clubs, we'll be showing their websites during the course of the show. If you have a specific question, you can send an email to us at our email address that you see down there at the bottom of your screen. And after a short break, we'll be back with the second segment to talk more about public outreach programs in Southeast Michigan with these three clubs and others. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The nearest and most opulent stellar factory resides 170,000 light years away in a turbulent star-birth region called 30 Doradus. Many of the diamond-like blue stars are among the hottest and most massive stars known. The brilliant stars are unleashing a torrent of ultraviolet light and hurricane-force stellar winds that are etching away at the hydrogen gas cloud in which the stars were born. The nebula is close enough to Earth to give astronomers important clues about the birth and evolution of stars in the universe.
Welcome back to the program. Now, John, I want to talk to you for just a moment, and actually want to talk to all three club presidents about the outreach programs they have at their respective clubs. John, what's the Seven Ponds Club do?
Well, we actually, being affiliated with the Nature Center itself puts on a lot of programs for school-age children. I mean, there's thousands, each year, come through there, and they have different kind of programs, throughout the year. So, and a lot of them, they'll weave some science into some of those programs, and naturally, they'll call on our club, to assist in whatever we can, being a presentation, like in the auditorium, or actually in the evening out observing if the weather cooperates.
Doug, what about the Ford Club?
And Don, we do a fair amount of outreach. Last year, I think we did over 30 different community outreaches, and ours tend to be people contacting us and wanting us to put on some type of a program. Quite often it's a school, elementary schools, scouts, a couple of libraries contact us. The Detroit Science Center sometimes will contact us too to come down for special events they're having around astronomy. We typically, at the ones we do at schools, scouts, clubs, those kinds of things, have a PowerPoint presentation called Astronomy 101, which we vary depending on the age of the people that are going to be there. And then we have a few prop type things showing, the phases of the moon, rotation of the Earth around the sun, those kinds of things, distances between planets with a tape measure that we use with younger kids. And then we also then usually have telescopes set up. If it's a daytime event, we'll have solar scopes set up. If it's a nighttime event, we'll set up our other scopes and let the public look through them. We've done a lot of them. We have one coming up, I think, with Meadowbrook Music Festival this weekend, actually, where we sit up in the back of the music festival, have 10 or so scopes set up, and people coming in will stop and ask questions, and as it gets dark, we let them look at the different things in the sky. So it's a lot of different things like that. Most of it is people contacting us, and I think as you work with one scout group, they tell another scout group about what we're doing, and they contact you as well. Some people find us on the website and will contact us for an outreach as well.
Very good. Gary, what about the Warren?
Perhaps the most important element is the one most often overlooked. Open membership policy. Open to anyone regardless of education, geographic location. You could live in Tashkent and join the Warren Astronomical Society and be most welcome to do so. In a more formal institutional sense, one of the members of our board is the outreach officer. This is some indication of how serious outreach work is to the Warren Astronomical Society. And from what I know of her current work, it is excellent. Then, as with my colleague here, we are willing to go pretty much anywhere for some sort of exhibition, to set up a telescope or two, to give a chalk talk or something to a scout group, a church group, a school, anything like this. And this is a necessary part of the work of the Warren Astronomical Society. And then I suppose the most effective way to spread a love of the natural sciences or the field sciences is to just as members, make yourself available to your neighbors, your friends, or whomever. Set up a telescope someplace. Give a little talk about what they're looking at. That's at the most basic level of outreach work. And frankly, I think the Warren Astronomical Society does well on all counts.
Great. Now, one of the biggest programs of the year will be coming up September 10th and 11th. This is a program co-sponsored by the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs, of which these 3 clubs and several others are a member, and Kensington Metro Park. It's called Astronomy at the Beach, and this event is coming up on September 10th and 11th. Gentlemen, your comments about this outstanding program.
Well, just a comment, it's been going on for a number of years, and we get a very large participation by the general public. It's open to the public, free of charge other than the admission to Kensington. We usually have 60 telescopes or so set up along the beach for people to look through. Formal programs each night with 6 presenters, vendors, and the various clubs represented at tables that can answer questions, and a number of other events for children. Scavenger hunt where they fill out a card and look at different things through different scopes and check them off, and at the end of the night they get some type of a prize. And so they go from scope to scope to look at a planet, a nebula, different things. So it's a lot of fun for the whole family, and pretty big crowds. One year I think the record was about 13,000 people.
Wow.
Over 2 days. Last year I think we had about 4,000.
About 4,000.
Yeah.
About 4,000.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't stress, Don, too, how great of an event this is for the public, because it's by far the largest activity like this in Southeast Michigan. And like this year's our 14th annual Astronomy at the Beach. And I'd say in past years we've had astronauts, well-known astronauts, give the keynote address and everything. So it's quite a program for the public, and geared more for younger people.
Mm-hmm.
But still a lot of good information for adults.
It's almost with apology that I contradict my learned colleague here. He said it's the biggest event of its kind in Southeast Michigan. To the best of my imperfect knowledge, it's the biggest event of its kind in the tri-state and including Ontario, all right, and possibly beyond.
Yep.
I'm not as well informed as I used to be, but I know of no equivalent in the Midwest.
There really isn't. There really isn't.
No, there isn't. This is a gigantic affair when one considers the work that goes into it. And it is at least the equivalent of the famous work of the San Francisco sidewalk astronomers, who would go out and set up their telescopes in the city, right? Essentially bringing astronomy to the people. In this case, you expect the people to go to the astronomy, but it's only a small jaunt.
Yeah.
I
And that
want to
line,
thank-
excuse me,
I'm sorry.
if you got a second, if I can interject, last year at Astronomy at the Beach, we had representatives from Celestron, one of the
Oh, yeah.
one of the main suppliers.
manufacturers, yes.
Okay, and that was the first time that they had been there, and they could not believe what a wonderful event that it was. They can't wait to get back.
That's great. Well, I want to thank my 3 guests from the Warren Club, Mr. Gary Ross, from the Ford Club, Mr. Doug Bauer, and finally from the Seven Ponds Club, John Lyons. Gentlemen, thank you all. If you'd like to find more information, please visit our website. You can see the web address down there at the bottom of your screen. And right after this, we'll come up with our next segment, Term of the Month. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Astronomy for Everyone. The term of the month this month is Astronomical Night. But before we get there, we're going to start with an easier term, a much easier concept, sunset. Sunset is when the sun goes below the horizon. It's pretty easy, you can see it. But between sunset and when it's really dark, there's a period, and we call it twilight. It's not really dark, it's twilight. Well, how long does twilight last, and when does night start? Well, the answer to that question is complicated. It depends on how much darkness you need. Now, civil twilight is defined as ending when the sun goes 6 degrees below the horizon. And so at the end of twilight, civil twilight, you have civil night. But that's not good enough for the Navy. Nautical twilight ends when the sun goes 12 degrees below the horizon. And astronomical night starts when the sun goes 18 degrees below the horizon. So we had twilight, it was dim, the atmosphere bends some of the light from the sun around the horizon, and you get this sort of dimming. So we've got the definition of astronomical night. But what I want to go into now is what it means and what it might mean. So you're driving in your car and it's getting dark. There's a rule, at least in some states, turn your headlights on a half an hour after sunset. This is a lot easier to compute than when the sun is 6 degrees below the horizon. Neither of these definitions gives you a repeatable darkness level. These definitions, well, the half-hour rule doesn't take into account the angle that the sun takes and how long it takes to get well below the horizon. So the 6-degree rule does, but it's quite a bit of math. And even the civil night 6-degree rule doesn't take into account what the moon is doing or what the weather is doing. So anyway, these definitions are a guide. They're not really wisdom, it's just a guide. Well, we had, a month or two ago, we had an introduction to the concept of astronomical distance. And we learned that even the nearest stars are really a long way away. They're incomprehensibly far away. And the numbers involved, you know, they're trillions or whatever, they're huge. They're huge numbers. And in fact, the word astronomical has become an adjective, a descriptive word meaning incomprehensibly large. So, for example, we have an astronomical national debt. But for nighttime, no numbers really come to mind. So I suggest that astronomical night is night, only more so. Now then, what might astronomical night mean? Light and dark have, in common culture, been used to be metaphors for, you know, light is, you know, good things and happy times, and darkness is, you know, bad things and despair. But I'm an astronomer, and I frequently get in my car and I drive for hours each way to a very dark sky site on a moonless night when the weather is clear. And what I often see is the Milky Way stretching from horizon to horizon. And the Milky Way is the glow of hundreds of billions of suns. And it's a galaxy. It's the galaxy we live in. This is home. So instead of being unbelievable despair, you know, and I'm thinking the death of a child or the death of your spouse or worse, contemplating your own eventual mortality, I think it's gorgeous. The Milky Way is incredible, and it's where we live. This is home. Welcome back to Astronomy for Everyone. This is What's Up in the Night Sky for August 2010. First, the moon. The third quarter of the moon starts on the 3rd of August. The new moon, which you probably won't see, and we have a great picture of it this time, is on the 10th. We'll get back to the Perseids. The Perseid meteor shower is from the 12th to the 13th. The first quarter is on the 16th of August. The full moon is on the 24th of August, which is just before the moon's apogee. That's when the moon is farthest from the Earth. Now, back in January, we talked about how the moon was bigger than usual because it was closest to Earth at perigee. 6 months later, or give or take, here in August, the moon is about as far away from the Earth as it gets, so it's smaller than usual. In the early evening, say 9 o'clock, shortly after sunset, very low in the sky, and then really only in the first part of the month, we have Mercury, very low to the ground. But Venus is extremely bright. Mars and Saturn are all clustered together. On August 13th, we have the moon near the whole cluster of planets, making it very easy to see these things in the west. Later in the evening, Neptune rises by itself, followed by Jupiter and Uranus. Jupiter and Uranus are close together, and this is an easy way to find planet Uranus because it's pretty dim. Although I have seen it naked eye, it's not easy to see naked eye. So we go back to the Perseid meteor shower.
All right. On the 12th and 13th, the Earth will fly through a cloud of debris that's been left behind by a comet called Swift-Tuttle. It was discovered back in 1862 by 2 American astronomers during the Civil War, and it orbits the Sun every 134 years. This time of year, the Earth flies through the debris left behind. Usually it's small rocks and very small particles the size of sand granules. And they can hit the Earth's atmosphere up to speeds up to 60,000 miles an hour. So when they crash into the air of the Earth, they heat up due to them compressing the air in front of them, and they glow brightly, and people call these shooting stars. You'll look anytime after sunset in the direction of Perseus the hero. That'll be in the northeastern sky.
Although you can see meteors over the entire sky.
Right.
So you really should be looking at the entire sky.
That's absolutely correct. But you'll be able to see them appearing to come out of one location, but there are also meteors that are left over throughout the solar system. So you should see a lot of meteors. This year, predicting a total of between 60 and 100 shooting stars or meteors an hour.
Which is one every minute, or maybe even more than one a minute.
In addition, if you get a chance, the further away from city lights that you go, the more shooting stars you'll be able to see.
Absolutely. So get out to Lake Hudson if you can. That's our dark sky preserve. Go up to the Warren Club's Stargate Observatory. The Warren Club is having an outreach event on the Friday the 13th. It's your lucky day. And you should also make use of the Ford Club's beginners nights and get up to Seven Ponds. If you can make it up to Lapeer, it's pretty dark up there.
In addition, one more thing I need to mention: don't use binoculars or a telescope. Use your eyes. The widest field of view is one you'll catch the most meteors with.
So that's what's up in the night sky for August. Go out and observe.